deity completely crushed our MC's life force. The kid went down hard, totally overwhelmed by the pain. But all of a sudden, he stands right back up without a single scratch, flashing a super wicked smirk, because eliminating him is literally impossible. He is the one and only true Lord of Shadows. But just a few days ago, it was a totally different story. He was treated like the absolute outcast of his family, constantly pushed around and completely humiliated by everyone. They all figured he would just awaken as some useless farmer, but on the day of the awakening, pitch black shadows completely swallowed up the sacred temple. The system went absolutely crazy at triple S rank class. He summoned the underworld goddess herself, and the most insane part, a mana cost of exactly 0. Total despair took over the entire hall. The ones who laughed at him are now completely biting the dust. The sacred elite went into an absolute meltdown. The underestimated underdog is back to get his ultimate payback, turning the Holy Maiden into his own personal loyal servant. And he is going to absolutely wipe the floor with every single one of them. Starting off in this world where dungeons popped up out of nowhere, a warrior charges at a dragon. So, to survive, humans awaken combat classes and clear out these dungeons. With that, humanity kept evolving, until they became a whole new type of human being, arriving at a sacred place where these class changes finally happen. Suddenly, a black-haired kid takes a punch right square in the face. Mocking him, the blondie says a loser kicked out of the Yang family will never turn his life around. Walking slowly toward our MC, and with that, he tries to step right on our boy. But the main guy doesn't back down and swears payback against Yang-kun and his whole family. Laughing it off, the villain claims a scrub like him could never pull that off. Right when he's about to deliver the final stomp, a woman suddenly appears out of nowhere, leaving Yang-kun in shock when he recognizes the priestess. Glaring at the guy, the lady orders him to stop causing a scene inside the sacred temple. With no other choice, Blondie walks away, warning our guy that he got super lucky. Then, the priestess reaches out a hand to our MC asking if he's doing alright. Wiping his face, the young man nods, claiming he's already used to these beatdowns. Shortly after, a bunch of people gather in the grand hall where the ceremony is about to go down. Getting in line with the rest, a voice soon announces the start of the class awakenings. Touching the orb, a buff dude awakens as a rank D combat soldier. Next up, another guy awakens as a rank C mage, showing off just how valuable rare classes are. When it's Yang-kun's turn, he touches the orb and awakens the rare rank B hero class, surprising everyone with his power, since rolling a rank C would already be a huge miracle. Staring down our MC, the villain mocks him, saying he's only fit to be a rank D farmer. Walking up to the altar, our boy knows he needs a strong class for his payback. Focusing on his inner power, he touches the orb, making a blue energy shoot out from the crystal. Then, a voice announces the awakening of a level 1 class, beeping without giving any details, leaving our guy with a shocked face, not totally getting what was going on. Laughing at the situation, a random extra sneers, saying the kid really is the ultimate loser. But suddenly, the vibe in the hall shifts, and everyone starts feeling an unexplainable chill, causing dark shadows to start leaking out of the orb, until a massive magical bubble appears, lighting everything up. The system announces the triple S rank class of Dark Summoner, changing the MC's look. The system reveals his skill to summon the goddess of the underworld. Immediately, the giant figure of the goddess pops up, dropping everyone's jaws in the hall, overflowing with so much energy that the orb shatters, leaving one of the elders pretty spooked. Seeing this, Yang-kun foams at the mouth in anger, thinking a triple S rank is totally impossible. However, the elder notices that the mana and stamina cost for this summon must be off the charts, concluding that in practice, the kid's strength would be no better than a useless rank C or D. Hearing that, the rival quickly turns to our MC, making fun of this so-called triple S rank trash. Smirking, he suggests a little duel to test the power of this new class, trying to stop the fight. The priestess gets shut down by the elder, who orders everyone to stay out of it. So, our snow-haired kid accepts the challenge, saying it'll be a great sparring match between cousins. Laughing with joy, Blondie draws his sword, getting ready to launch his attack. Charging at full speed, the bully attacks, aiming to send our boy straight to the Shadow Realm. But suddenly, a skeletal hand bursts from the ground, grabbing the enemy's leg, leaving Blondie confused as shadowy claws start pinning him down from all sides, making the creature appear and sending the villain into a panic, thinking it's a ghost. At that, the MC smiles, letting the fool know he has no clue about the power he just woke up, showing off his talent that completely zeroes out mana costs. He summons the Dark Knight, faced with this imposing underworld goddess. The cousin screams that this is impossible, yelling in despair at seeing a talentless nobody summon such an overpowered creature. But the knight glares at him coldly with her red eyes, warning him that he talks way too much, freezing the guy's body in pure terror in the blink of an eye, just with her stare, making the scrub take massive damage and collapse, ending up totally knocked out right in front of everyone in the hall, sending the crowd into a panic as they think the young master just got instantly wiped out, leaving the elder furious over the takedown. But the kid reminds him it was a fair duel. Ignoring that, the old man summons his powerful divine art called Burning Sun Explosion, swearing to finish off the young man right then and there to avoid payback from the Yang family. But something mystical starts popping up right in front of him as the underworld goddess steps in, raising her shield and blocking the elder's heavy attack. Turning to her master, the servant asks in a cold voice if she has permission to eliminate the old-timer. Replying calmly, the MC thinks it's a bit too early for that and tells her to just teach him a good lesson, immediately agreeing to her master's absolute command, summoning a freaky skeleton that rushes the elder with a super fast strike, letting the skeleton rough up the old man. The MC announces that Yang-kun isn't actually gone for good, showing through the system the rival's rare passive skill that leaves him with 1 health point for a week. Even while down, the rival throws threats, saying the family's elite elders will hunt him down without mercy, getting completely ignored by our cold and calculating main guy, responding to the trash talk with a simple and loud "ah," stepping on the loser's head and yelling for them all to come at once, finally finishing the rival off, receiving 1,200 experience points from the system and finally leveling up to level 2. Far away in the Yang mansion, the patriarch and a priest stare at the body deep inside the coffin, boiling with rage upon realizing the exiled kid had the guts to take out his son. Slamming his fist on the casket, he declares that this unforgivable crime must be paid in full. But he reveals he paid an absolute fortune for the temple priest to use a resurrection spell. So the furious dad turns to the mage, telling him to kick off the sacred ritual. Chuckling sinisterly, the hooded mage replies that this is gonna be a walk in the park, conjuring up the healing light to revive someone who fell less than 24 hours ago. But right in the middle of the mysterious process, the guy's eyes go wide, noticing something very wrong, projecting a hologram of the MC, who mocks the useless attempt to bring the guy back. Smirking, the young Shadow Master reveals he left behind a pretty neat insurance policy, explaining that the ritual just triggered his fallen explosion skill as one heck of a parting gift, leaving the patriarch totally shell-shocked as a thick purple energy surrounds the casket, until a massive blast of energy completely wrecks the body and the entire room, throwing the old leader brutally backwards from the absurd force of the impact. Foaming with anger, he puts a 10 million gold bounty on the Avenger's head. Meanwhile, our boy explores the Cave of Judgment, which is perfect for beginners, watching a noisy group of rookie hunters from a distance, and they're trying every trick in the book to take down the giant elite minotaur of the dungeon. But the beast fights back, smashing the ground with its axe and blasting the warriors away. Analyzing the whole thing, the snow-haired kid figures these dungeon monsters are way too weak. At that moment, a fanboy adventurer complains that our hero is a deadbeat who won't even help. Suspecting he's trying to steal their loot, another warrior suggests taking the kid out right then and there, until the minotaur lets out one last roar of pain, totally emptying its health bar, making the massive body crash to the ground as the system announces the defeat of this mini-boss. Cheering at the top of their lungs, the group celebrates, bragging that they cleared the dungeon all by themselves. But suddenly, the floor of the old cave starts to shake, making a terrifying rumbling sound, showing a bright blue light glowing in the back and violently ramping up the earthquake, revealing a giant ring of fire at the group's feet, proving that something just went terribly wrong. Looking on with curiosity, the MC wants to see what's about to go down. Then, a giant beast with a lion's body and wings bursts out of the circle, roaring at everyone. Terrified by the sight, one of the adventurers screams, asking what the heck that thing is. Panicking right after, he yells that it's the legendary Chimera, the hidden boss. Smiling, totally hyped, our boy thinks something interesting has finally shown up. Cracking his knuckles, he gets ready to dive headfirst into this massive brawl. With that, the Chimera winds up and blasts a powerful wave of fire straight at the group, hitting one of the warriors dead on and instantly vaporizing him on the spot, leaving the whole squad in shock after seeing one of their teammates get brutally wiped out. Screaming for everyone to run from the beast, another warns that they'll only make it out alive if they defeat the boss. Ignoring the extras, the Chimera roars furiously right at our boy, but the snow-haired kid doesn't care about the beast and shouts for the Dark Knight to descend, causing a blue circle to appear and release a thick, shadowy aura all over the cave. Emerging from the energy, the Dark Knight answers her master's call, Staring down the chimera with a teasing smirk, she warns the overgrown kitty that it's time to fight, quickly charging up a massive blue energy sphere and yelling for the beast to vanish, firing the attack like a literal cannon and blasting the monster with full force. Feeling the immense power of the attack, the creature realizes it's way too late now. Taking it down in a single hit, the system quickly confirms the defeat of the dreaded chimera, even getting a little surprised at how crazy easy this fast victory was. Right after that, a purple light notifies him that he leveled up to level 13, scoring some rare items, revealing the unlock of the Dark Elemental Orb and the upgrade for his undead summons. Watching all of this in shock, the surviving warrior wonders how that nobody could be so strong. Meanwhile, the glowing exit portal for the dungeon opens up at the back of the old cave. Hiding behind a rock, the rookies whisper among themselves to keep quiet. Pointing at the portal, they plan to sneak out of there without the MC noticing. Trying to tiptoe their way out, the group starts booking it in absolute silence. But the guy gets their attention, making the trio freeze in their tracks, totally terrified. Smirking, the young lord tells them not to be in such a huge rush to leave. Turning to her master, the Dark Knight points out that this squad was pretty rude earlier. With a sinister smile, the Valkyrie asks if her master wants to see them all wiped out right there. Replying that there's no need, the MC says they didn't do anything that wrong. Dropping to her knees immediately, a girl apologizes and cries, saying they were completely blind. Bawling her eyes out, she thanks him for saving the entire group's lives in the cave. But stepping closer with a mischievous look, the MC warns them that if they still want to walk out alive, they need to show at least a little bit of sincerity to their great heroic savior. Trembling in fear on her knees, the poor girl has no idea what he means. Soon enough, the group is stripped down to their undies while the MC pockets 67,000 gold and a bunch of potions. Checking out his new skills by himself, he notices the massive cost of the Dark Orb. Smiling with total confidence, he remembers his passive ability completely cancels out any magic costs. Calmly leaving the dungeon, he decides to head straight back to the city center. Rocking normal clothes now, the young lord takes a chill walk through the shopping district, stopping right in front of a weapon shop to take a quick peek at the gear. Getting greeted by the owner with a sketchy smile, promising fair prices for everyone. Walking into the shop, our MC is closely tailed by the super greedy merchant, picking up a large sword to inspect it. The young guy feels the owner's eyes glued to him. Trailing him through the store, the vendor just assumes the kid looks like a massive deadbeat. Huffing with annoyance, the owner grumbles that the kid is just pretending he's going to buy something. Then, the MC picks up the epic tier scepter of Hades and asks for the price of this fabulous item. Crossing his arms arrogantly, the owner claims the treasure is worth a cool 2 million gold, showing off the legendary purple chimera fang. The kid asks how much he can get for it, leaving the seller totally shocked and yelling in disbelief at what he was seeing. Recognizing the legendary item that would easily fetch 2.5 million gold at an auction, stepping closer in disbelief, he asks how a kid got his hands on something of that tier, flipping his arrogant expression into a major suck-up face in the blink of an eye. Flashing a fake smile and apologizing, he says the legendary item is more than enough, asking the MC to hang on just a sec while he heads to the back to get the change ready. But as he walks away, he whispers to an employee about the massive Yang family bounty. Smirking wickedly, he tells the employee to stall the kid while he contacts the rich guys. When asked how long it's going to take, the shopkeeper sweats bullets and begs for just one more minute. Standing up and confronting him, the MC wants to know the reason for all the nerves and stalling, making a sharp blade slice through the air all of a sudden. With the sword at the seller's neck, he sits back down, letting him know it's way too late now. Just then, 3 knights from the temple's elite 12th Order show up in the small shop, revealing that the powerful Yang family hired them purely to take the kid out. But taking a closer look, the group spots the Dark Knight floating right behind the guy, muttering that the Class Change Temple and the Yang family are all trash from the same dumpster. Annoyed by the nerve of these low-tier knights, the Valkyrie summons her skeletons, making the undead creatures charge with a thirst for battle straight at the enemy trio. But the cocky blonde leader doesn't even flinch and stares down the monsters coming his way. Letting out a loud battle cry, he quickly pops his light skill called Sacred Strike, using the golden light to shatter all the skeletons at once in a single hit. Smirking full of himself, the blondie says his squad's specialty is crushing the undead, looking to the side as if he finally noticed a neat little detail. Pointing at the Valkyrie, he deduces that this was the creature used to defeat Yang Kun, showing off a necklace and explaining that rank A Grey Knights rock some high-value gear, revealing the Sacred Heart necklace, which guarantees total immunity against instant defeat. Charging aggressively, Blondie yells that the MC's biggest trump card is now completely useless against them. Snapping back furiously, the MC retorts that they're the ones who are about to become history. At that, the imposing Dark Knight focuses, unleashing a massive wave of blue energy, shouting that the kid is a huge idiot because his sacred squad is totally immune to this attack. But the Valkyrie unleashes her death stare, making a giant eye electrify the entire shop, instantly shattering the useless Sacred Heart necklace right off the knight's neck, leaving the arrogant elite knight leader in a total state of shock and pure dread, letting out a loud cry of pain as he gets violently tossed to the back of the room, crashing hard onto the floor while our main guy and his shadowy partner just stand there and watch. Trembling with fear, Blondie stutters that this is impossible since he had immunity equipped. Walking up slowly, the invincible Dark Lord tells him it was only a rare tier item. With a sadistic smirk, the MC asks if he seriously thought the junk could withstand a divine stare. Seeing their boss on the floor, the backup squad panics, realizing their rare amulets completely failed. While the guards back away in fear, our Lord and the Valkyrie float there, staring them all down, conjuring up his dark orb, in announcing that he can handle the rest of these scrubs all by himself now, firing the massive sphere of dark energy straight into the crowd of enemies, forcing the newly arrived squad to go face to face with this ridiculously massive attack heading their way. Seeing the destruction closing in, the soldiers run in total panic, trying to get away. That's when one of the clerics yells for everyone to cast a strong sacred light shield, rallying all the mages and creating a massive glowing barrier to block the impact. Telling everyone to hold the line, the leader figures the MC's mana has gotta be dried up by now, crashing brutally against the light shield and instantly starting to crack the barrier. Pumping up the crew, the cleric tells them to just hold on a little longer until the enemy's mana hits 0. But our boy just starts laughing, mockingly asking what exactly was supposed to run out. Surrounded by flames and blue lightning, he lets them know the real fun has barely even started. Next up, the young lord summons a bunch of pillars of pure dark energy straight from the sky, bringing the pillars crashing down on the barrier and ramping up the attack even more. Desperate, a priest yells that he can't hold it anymore as the shield splinters all over, and the barrier finally shatters to pieces, making the leader scream for everyone to run, resulting in a gigantic explosion of purple and golden energy that swallows everyone whole. After the dust settles, the enemies hit the floor and the system confirms a total victory, getting wrapped in the system's light and hitting level 22 with some fresh new skills. On his knees and terrified, the shopkeeper calls the kid a monster for wiping out the elite order, deciding to bail out of there as fast as possible and sprinting desperately for the exit. But the MC pops up out of nowhere and grabs his shoulder, since they still had business to handle, making the merchant drop to his knees once again, shaking from head to toe. Crying and begging for forgiveness, he offers up the staff of the underworld god totally for free. Taking the epic item in his hands, the kid checks out the awesome stats and praises the gear, pointing the staff at the guy and demanding one good reason not to send him packing right now. Quaking in fear, the shopkeeper reveals that this staff is part of the underworld set, explaining that legends say whoever collects the whole set will gain the authority of a god, adding that this person will gain absolute control over life and the afterlife. Owing on the floor after spilling the beans, the guy begs to walk out of there in one piece, promising not to charge for the legendary chimera Feng and to hand back all the money right away. But the Lord's partner summons the spooky power of the Oath of the Underworld River, causing a giant wave of dark, ghostly water to form right inside the shop, dragging the seller away as he screams in panic, begging for mercy. Right after, dozens of skeletal hands reach out of the water and pin him down completely, but the MC calms him down, demanding only a vow of silence about the guard's defeat. Terrified, the vendor swears on his own soul that he won't breathe a word to absolutely anyone. With that, the Dark Knight confirms that the Oath of the Underworld River has been sealed, warning him coldly that Oathbreakers will sink to the bottom of the river for all eternity. With the deal done, the MC finally says his goodbyes and leaves the coward behind. As soon as the monster is gone, the seller gets up, grumbling about the massive financial loss, gritting his teeth in anger, thinking that the whole oath thing was just a cheap parlor trick. Switching scenes, we see the fancy hallways of the gigantic Yang family mansion. Inside, a spoiled rich kid punches the table with a furious look in his eyes. It's Yang Wan-chun, the family's second young master, yelling in absolute shock. Sitting in his chair, he asks in total disbelief if the Night Order really got wiped out. Standing up furious, he questions how a useless nobody defeated the Sacred Temple's elite. Just then, a servant walks into the room, announcing that the only witness to the showdown has arrived, bringing in the shop owner who greets the master with a super nervous smile. and the rich kid demands to know every single detail of the fight, promising a sweet gold reward, agreeing on the spot. The greedy guy opens his mouth, saying yes to the young master, starting to explain that during the deadly battle he saw the kid summon something insane. But before he can finish spilling the tea, a portal of dark water opens up right under his feet, making Yang Wanshun scream in surprise at seeing this freaky stuff right in the middle of his room. As the whirlpool grows, the seller starts getting sucked in and screams for help, with skeletal hands shooting out of the cursed water and grabbing the guy's legs. Bellowing for help, the shopkeeper gets dragged into the portal without a fighting chance. With only one hand left sticking out, he cries, saying he didn't mean to break the oath, getting swallowed completely by the water while his desperate screams echo through the room. Far away, the Shadow Lord smirks, knowing the traitor dug his own grave out of pure greed, showing the bottom of the underworld river where the liar is surrounded by hordes of the fallen. Back at the mansion, dozens of skeletons start crawling out of the portal, freaking out the guards, leaving the preppy Wanshin feeling pretty tense as he sees an army of monsters invading his room. Quickly grabbing his bow and arrows, he gears up for the incoming fight, looking on in disgust and questioning if all these filthy monsters are the work of that loser. When the skeletons charge, the rich boy starts firing off rapid arrows at them, complaining that it's way too many monsters for him to handle alone and calling for backup. Suddenly, a blonde woman unleashes the powerful divine art of the sacred judgment light, releasing an intense light that instantly vaporizes all the shadowy skeletons, turning around with a scoff and calling the threat pathetic since they're just basic undead. The preppy guy tells her not to go overboard, since the underworld portal is gonna close soon anyway. And sure enough, the spooky water portal starts shrinking until it completely vanishes from the floor. Sighing in relief, the young master admits that little scare had him pretty stressed out, praising the temple saint's power and immediately asking if she's thought about marrying him. But the blonde coldly slaps his hand away, brushing him off without a second thought, warning him that the temple might cooperate with his family. But he shouldn't get ahead of himself. The guy swears that after taking down the jerk who humiliated the temple, the elders will back their union, cutting the scene to a brutal, scorching desert covered in bones in the sand, revealing it to be the rank A desert of Demi's dungeon, crawling with dangerous magical beasts. There, a giant level 65 Anubis wakes up furious that someone disturbed his sleep, glaring at the Dark Knight and the skeletons with his massive golden staff in hand, while the king of the underworld's army, made entirely of wolves, gets ready to crush the invaders. But our MC pops the Amplify skill on his staff, buffing all his shadowed troops. With their power massively boosted, the skeletons charge in, beating the absolute stuffing out of the wolves, taking over the battlefield in no time and stepping on the skulls of their defeated enemies, leaving the great Anubis totally shocked to see his elite underworld army getting steamrolled. Staring down the skeleton horde with pure fury, the boss warns them not to get too cocky, yelling that the mortal is wicked and will now feel his wrath. He summons a giant scale, activating the scales of the gods and demanding the invader face absolute divine judgment. At that moment, the snow-haired kid feels a sudden, sharp pain ripping right through his chest, dropping to his knees on the scorching ground completely out of strength to fight. Projecting the MC's heart on the scale, Anubis brags about literally holding the kid's life in his hands, explaining that the scale only tips when the target's sins are heavy and unforgivable. With a look full of deep hatred, the deity roars at the insolent sinner, screaming for the human to perish, making the heart on the scale shatter violently, causing the Dark Lord to yell in pain on the ground, gripping his damaged chest. But all of a sudden he stands right back up in front of the fake god without a single sign of pain, flashing a sadistic smirk and apologizing, saying he was just playing along for a bit, leaving the god of the afterlife completely confused, not understanding how the humans survived, revealing that the Dark Lord is fully immune to any instant defeat attacks, shocking the creature, who thinks it's impossible for a mere mortal to resist his absolute judgment. But feeling his true aura of darkness, Anubis figures out the Supreme Lord's real identity. Then our Lord orders the Dark Knight to deliver the well-deserved final blow on the beast, quickly charging up an insanely dense sphere of dark energy right in her hand, leaving the canine god visibly stressed by the pressure of the Valkyrie's massive energy, calling the beast a second-rate god and telling that piece of trash to turn into cosmic dust, firing the dark energy sphere like a cannonball straight at the boss, making Anubis howl in pain as he gets hit dead-on by the summon's devastating attack, getting completely swallowed by the dark energy and erased from existence on the spot. Getting the system notification that taking down Lord Anubis just boosted our hero straight to level 35. As a reward, the boss dropped an epic item called the Necklace of the Underworld God, He grabs the item, which boosts his health and magic stats to absolutely insane levels. He happily points out that he finally has the second piece of the underworld set. But right as he's about to bounce, the spirit of Anubis calls out, asking the human to wait a second. The spirit admits the kid's strength totally outclassed his own, deciding to acknowledge his true power. He offers to serve as his loyal minion, scoring the MC a brand new divine summoning skill. This leaves the Dark Knight absolutely speechless at the crazy plot twist. Smiling from ear to ear, our guy says he totally didn't expect such an awesome bonus. He mentions that he just added another massive ace up his sleeve to his collection. He opens up a shadowy portal so they can get out of there and head straight back to the big city. He thinks to himself that there are still 3 pieces of the underworld set left to find out there. He figures that with the complete set, he'll have enough power to completely wipe the floor with the Yang family and the temple. But out of nowhere, an A-rank magic arrow hits the portal dead on, blowing it to pieces. Right after that, Yang Wanshun and the saintess show up, laughing and bragging about their little ambush. But the blonde cuts him off, telling him not to celebrate too early since they haven't actually confirmed the hit yet. When the smoke clears, the stuck-up rich kid goes into total shock when he sees the attack missed by a mile. Stepping out completely unharmed, the MC mocks him, saying that backstabbing is the only trick he knows. At that moment, the Dark Knight steps up, asking if the Yang family is really in that much of a hurry to meet their maker. Recognizing the divine summon, the enemy duo gets instantly terrified, revealing her own ace up her sleeve. The saintess uses a super rare celestial stone. She forms a massive circle of holy light, summoning the legendary Archangel Cherub. This makes a giant angel with golden wings pop up to fight in the name of the holy temple. She explains that the Archangel has divine strength that can easily rival a level 70 character. Pointing out that an instant knockout won't work here, the MC asks his Valkyrie if she can handle it. Replying ice cold, his servant admits it'll only be a little bit annoying to deal with. But gripping her spear tight, she promises that the angel is no match for her. She charges straight at the cherub, promising to take it down in just 3 minutes. Aiming his bow at the MC, Wanshun talks trash, assuming our guy doesn't have any other strong plays left. He asks Saintess Patricia to help him take that piece of trash out once and for all, moving in with her magic. She finds it super weird that the kid isn't doing anything at all to dodge the attacks. Standing inside a blue circle, the MC asks where they got the crazy idea that he only had one summon. Flashing a super confident smile, the Dark Lord orders his new minion Anubis to show himself. And right behind him, the god of the underworld appears looking incredibly epic, surrounded by dark blue flames. This completely shocks the snob, who can't even believe someone could have 2 divine-level summons. He goes into full panic mode, screaming that the temple has never heard of anything this overpowered. Furious, he draws his bow and fires, yelling that there's no way those beasts are actually that strong, except Anubis just smiles with pure disgust. Completely unbothered by the loser's pathetic attack, he blocks the arrow with an energy barrier without even breaking a sweat. The useless projectile just completely crumbles the second it touches that wall of pure power. Calling the MC the true Lord of Death, Anubis proudly states that his power has leveled up. But the kid tells him to drop the sweet talk and orders him to wipe Wanshun off the map. Taking a knee in total respect, the god of death obeys his lord's absolute command. He summons the scales of the gods, warning the arrogant sinner to face his judgment. This makes the target grab his chest in pain and groan, while Patricia just stands there watching, staring at the scales weighing that dark heart. The god rules that the loser's sins are just too many to count. Glaring at the terrified target, he warns that for a heart that dark, there's only one possible outcome. And with an ice-cold glare, the great god Anubis declares that the final sentence is absolute doom. This causes the heavy heart sitting on the scale to burst in a blinding flash of light. That makes the jerk cough up a storm, taking the full brunt of the direct damage. Meanwhile, the saintess just watches the whole thing unfold, completely caught in the splash zone of her buddy's defeat. He collapses to the ground totally wrecked, thinking there's no way someone as great as him could be beaten here. Barely hanging on, he whispers that his run has finally come to an end for daring to challenge the Dark Lord. Turning to the MC, the blonde asks how he could care so little about his own cousin getting taken out. She gets an ice-cold reply that the guy was just a useless weakling, so if he's gone, he's gone. Looking up at the sky, our main guy says that the battle up there is probably already settled. Gripping her staff, the High Saintess stubbornly clings to the hope that a fake god couldn't possibly beat the cherub. Except right as the words leave her mouth, a massive explosion goes off right behind her, revealing the almighty cherub completely wrecked and falling out of the sky totally out cold. Floating above the angel, the Dark Knight grumbles about how ridiculously weak that piece of trash was. Turning back to Patricia with a smug smile, the Lord asks her what she was just saying. Totally stunned by what she's seeing, the blonde wonders how even Lord Cherub could possibly lose. Screaming in disbelief, she yells that the fallen angel was a supreme archangel of the second divine tier. Flanked by his summons, the Lord asks if the crazy girl still wants to pick a fight. He offers her one single final chance to surrender if she wants to keep breathing. Staring at the kid, the saintess wonders what kind of absolute monster he really is. Sweating bullets in total despair, she admits to herself that she doesn't stand a ghost of a chance at winning. Deciding to fake a surrender to look for an opening, she stutters, acting like she's ready to give up. However, the Valkyrie sees right through the lie and questions why they should even keep this fake girl around. Telling his servant to chill out, the master creates a creepy magic circle right in front of him. He makes skeletal hands burst out of the water while demanding an oath of absolute loyalty. Acting like a total boss, he orders the blonde to immediately swear by the river of the underworld. He demands that she become his most loyal servant, serving him body and soul for all of eternity. Insulted by the sheer audacity, she refuses, bringing up her high status and terrified of a pact with no way out. But the Dark Lord's glare instantly turns even more intimidating, dark, and downright commanding. Staring down his prey, he warns her that he'd have zero problem tossing her into the bottom of the river right then and there. Right on cue, one of the skeletal hands yanks the woman down with brute force, forcing the saintess to her knees in the water as she begs for her own miserable life. Beaten and on her knees, she begins the oath, stating her name and calling upon the underworld. She declares that she will become Yang Chen's servant, swearing eternal loyalty to her new lord. All of a sudden, Wan Shan's spirit pops up, cursing out the MC for stealing his fiancée, floating right over his own body. His ghost screams at the blonde, calling her a useless brat. With a cruel smile, the Lord mentions he only kept his soul around just so he could watch the betrayal happen. This leaves the sucker's ghost completely shell-shocked and totally humiliated by the harsh truth. Right after that, he gets swallowed up by the blue flames, disintegrating as he screams into the void. Glancing at the remains on the ground, the Lord casually notes that the guy is of absolutely no use anymore. He then turns to his new servant Patricia, who's still on her knees, looking down at the ground. He slowly steps closer, asking with a teasing tone how exactly he should handle her from here on out. She turns bright red from embarrassment, stuttering at the thought of being bossed around by her new master. Laughing at the look on her face, he tells her he's just messing around and asks why she's blushing so hard, super flustered by the whole thing. The saintess quickly denies it, saying there's no way she's thinking anything weird. Changing the subject, the MC wants to know why the temple is backing the Yang family so hard. She explains that his brother is about to advance to the Holy Paladin Emperor class and become a cardinal. Finding this little piece of info super interesting, he asks when exactly this big class change is going down, leaving the blonde in dead silence, not having a clue how to answer her Dark Master's question. The scene switches up, showing the massive and epic sacred temple of class advancement. We get a look inside the massive main hall of the church's western branch, which is absolutely packed with eager followers. Inside, a white-haired priest is up there announcing that today is a truly glorious day for everyone. He declares that the young master and genius of the Yang family is finally going to become the Paladin Emperor, showing the powerful Yang Xuan up on the altar, a AA rank, level 60 Paladin, just waiting to finish up. You hear the crowd whispering that if he actually gets the legendary class, the whole balance of the world is going to shift. Both of them look super confident with all the grand preparations they've made for this holy ceremony. Right then, President Bailian asks if they aren't worried at all about someone crashing the party. She adds that the family has a ton of enemies, not to mention an internal fugitive currently on the run. But the guy just smiles, assuring her that every single brick in that place is blessed with top-tier divine magic. He states with absolute certainty that nobody would be dumb enough to break in and sign their own doom. But literally at that exact second, a massive blast of dark energy slams right into the wall, making the inside of the hall start shaking violently, totally out of control. The attack interrupts the ceremony, with the paladin saying his entire body suddenly feels frozen solid. Startled by the impact, the president asks where this spine-chilling cold is coming from. Right after that, a thick cloud of black smoke mixed with a glowing blue aura pops up right in the middle of the hall, recognizing it as necromancer magic. The old guy figures the intruder has got to be their runaway fugitive. We see a silhouette of somebody slowly walking out from the dark, creepy mist. And of course, it's our main guy. locking eyes with his brother and saying he came to pay a personal visit on his big day. He reveals he dropped by to congratulate him, casually showing off Patricia alongside a whole army of skeletons. This leaves both the priest and the paladin completely speechless at his grand entrance. Their eyes lock onto the high saintess, who's still keeping her head down right next to the young lord. Foaming at the mouth with rage, the old man screams, demanding to know what the monster did to Patricia. With a look full of pure hatred, the future Holy Emperor cusses out his brother, calling him a useless piece of trash. Completely mocking them, our guy casually reveals that the saint is basically his little pet dog now. Blushing from embarrassment, the woman stutters out a yes to her new Grand Master. This completely freezes the entire crowd, who can't even believe they're witnessing such an absurd scene. Sipping her wine, Baileon realizes that this kid is the famous traitor of the Yang family. The crowd goes absolutely wild with anger that he'd actually dared to treat the saintess like absolute garbage. This makes a bunch of guards from the Holy Order charge at the intruder in full military formation. Yelling for his men to push forward, the leader gets totally mocked by the Lord, who calls them all a bunch of nobodies. Suddenly, one of the shadow skeletons flashes its magic eye, staring down the enemy right in front of it. It attacks one of the guards in the blink of an eye, making him scream out in pain as he gets pierced. Absolutely furious at the disrespect, the jerk swears he's gonna take down the invader himself right now. But the elder holds him back, insisting that the class advancement needs to be racked up first. Stepping over the downed guard, our Dark Avenger lets everyone know his beef is only with his brother and the temple. He tells the random extras to just chill and watch the show, promising he won't hurt the audience. Recognizing just how dangerous this guy is, the level 56 elder decides to go all out, stating that all he has to do is put his own life on the line just to keep the kid busy. He hypes himself up to use his legendary 8th tier divine art, the Great Seal. He blasts the ultimate technique straight at the MC, who just stands there and lets himself get swallowed up by it. He finishes the spell in seconds, trapping the young lord inside a massive golden box. People in the crowd whisper that this magic is normally used on bosses, so the trash can go down without any regrets. Looking super smug, the old man explains that the seal is tied to his life force and backed up by the entire temple's power. He brags that breaking out of this golden barrier is about as hard as trying to shatter a whole continent. But to the old man's absolute horror, the so-called unbreakable box just shatters in an explosion of light. It shows our guy standing there completely unharmed, as if he hadn't been hit by a single thing. Dropping to his knees and coughing up a storm, the old man can't believe his ultimate seal was actually broken. Strolling right toward the holy geezer, he mockingly asks what the guy was just saying. Pretending he didn't quite catch that, he sarcastically apologizes with a super smug look on his face. He leaves the elder stuck on the floor, unable to get up and totally humiliated by how powerless he is. But at that exact moment, a massive pillar of golden light blasts up right behind our guy. A notification pops up showing that the paladin has successfully reached the double S rank class. He's overflowing with holy energy so intense that it fills the entire room with a blinding flash. The MC looks over his shoulder just to see his brother fully transformed into the feared paladin emperor. The warrior finishes his epic physical transformation with one of his hands literally glowing. He spawns a pair of massive, glorious white angel wings right out of his back, floating up in the air looking like a true level 60 god, complete with magic circles under his feet. He glares down at his brother with a dead, serious, totally superior look on his face. This totally amazes Baileon, who realizes the rumors about him being blessed by fate are actually true. She thinks about how rushing a class change of that level usually has less than a 1% chance of success. Gripping the hilt of his holy sword tight, the paladin gets ready to kick off the ultimate showdown. He draws his glowing blade while spreading out those gorgeous angel wings for everyone to see. The two of them lock eyes in the middle of the trashed hall, perfectly ready for an all-out brawl. Our main guy just watches the whole thing go down super calmly, not showing a single drop of fear. He hits him with a little smirk, congratulating the guy on the miracle because he honestly didn't think he'd pull it off. But the paladin stays dead silent, hyper-focused on completely wiping his little brother out of existence. He rushes over to his fallen master, apologizing for showing up to the fight a little late. The old master calms his student down, saying he isn't checking out just yet and can still take a hit. He states that their top priority right now is to exterminate the Stark Plague from the building. But our guy doesn't waste any time, immediately summoning even more skeletons straight to the front lines. But the undead troops get wiped out in a split second by a single slash of holy light. Calling the skeletons trash, the paladin triggers his S-rank skill, the King's Domain, This leaves the young lord looking pretty surprised as he feels the power of his brother's newly unlocked move. The crowd hypes up the Emperor's power, feeling the good vibes flowing while all that heavy dark energy just vanishes. Overflowing with pure holy power, the paladin dares the intruder to bust out his divine summon. He arrogantly claims that using it is the only way this grand battle will even be considered fair. Flashing a sarcastic grin, the Dark Lord replies that since he asked so nicely, he makes a lazy little hand gesture and calls for Dark Knight to hit the field. The supreme creature emerges straight out of the shadows, gripping her dark spear. The paladin keeps bragging that his protection cancels out any status effects, and against him, only raw power matters. But right in the middle of his super confident little speech, he suddenly starts coughing and choking out of nowhere. He drops to his knees, heavily using his sword to prop himself up, completely gasping for air. The dark servant just watches him with a beautiful little smile as she flexes her suffocating aura. She calls the hero a piece of trash, asking if he actually thought he was the main character of this story.